Hello everybody, in this video I'm gonna talk about a small tiny mistake that very often I see around, and this tiny mistake can cost a lot. Basically I'm talking about the folder naming. Now, when you are in your own computer at home, you can call folders whatever you want, but when you are in a big company where maybe you need to integrate together many computers, 100,000 computers together, you have clusters, I don't know, servers, and various systems where you get data from here and output data from there and some software that is computing whatever. When you are in this environment, the folder naming, it's very important. And if you mistake it, you're gonna spend a lot of money. Now, let me give you an example, as usual, so you understand. Very simple. So, let's go to Explorer. Let's say I want to have a big project in my company, and where is it? Here. Okay, so I create a folder. I have seen companies where they say like, main folder. And you tell to your employees, everybody, any kind of project, put it inside this folder, right? Now, Windows is letting you do this, and you're like, what's the problem? You do this, you put a space in the folder name. Yeah, you can. Actually, you can do even more. You can put special characters. Let me do another example. You make a new folder and you call it, I don't know, my cool company. Let me put, some special characters, and then you put dash. I don't know, Damiano and Co. Right, I can do this, right? Excel is letting me do this. But you see, I'm putting special characters there that maybe as humans, they are particularly friendly and you like them because, you find it very easily. I don't know, whatever. Let's see what happened later on. Now, let me give you a short lesson of coding. Even if you never did any coding, I will teach you the simplest instruction you can give. Ignore. Right? There are comments in the code, and the comments are basically something we write for humans to be read. But you want that the software will ignore them. And each coding language, of course, has a different instructions to do so. So let me just show. Here I put some example. If you're writing in C, right, and you want to put this comment, you tell to be ignored to the computer by this double forward slash, for example. If you're writing in Python, you just start a sentence with this hash character and you will be ignored. Okay, each coding language has a different convention. Special characters in various combinations are telling the computer ignore. So if you are, for example, working in HTML, right, you have to pay a bit more this complex string of characters to say start ignoring from here and then you end here. If you're working in Pascal, you use this kind of special combo, open parenthesis with a star, close parenthesis. Or if you are in Excel or in VBA, you can use this character. Now, the point is, each coding language is using a different special character. You never know among many coding languages. So the point you have to keep in mind, as I said before, you're trying to integrate many computers with many systems, with many stuff around. Do you know exactly which coding language will have a special character? Do you see where I'm going? Let me give you a super simple example in Excel. I guess you have done at least basic stuff there. So when you go to Excel, let's say you're here, you can say I have a 5 and I have to compute 5 minus 3, and you can give the instruction to Excel. Take whatever is inside the cell A1 minus B1. Now, and here using special characters. The equal is telling the computer, Excel in particular, I want to make some calculation. And the minus, or the dash character, is telling you, okay, take this minus that. Fine. You can do something a bit more exotic. You have a string here, and you want to concatenate the strings, right? So here as well, you start with an equal, and you say, okay, this is a formula, and then you have these special characters, the end, that will tell the computer combine the strings. As I said before, you can put a comment. So if you start the cell with these special characters, right, this is a single quote, the computer will ignore everything you say after it. So this is what I mean a comment. Anyway, I don't really want you to learn how to comment code. What I'm saying is in particular that, special characters can be a quote, can be equal, can be and, can be this and that. They give instructions to the computer. Do this, do that. Now, when you make folder names with special characters, do you know where they will go? That's the point. So let's go back. Now read again the name we give you. Right, main space folder. And then here, look, we have this single quote, you have a dash, you have the end. Just in Excel, this will create problems. Okay, let's say now you want to export in Python. Let's make the usual example in Python. I always do in this kind of stuff. Let's say you want to use the content of this folder. Now it's empty, but I mean, you put all the software, whatever. And you want to read this folder in Python. The first thing you do, you click here, right, and you copy this. So, right, you copy this string. Then you go to Python. And you might define a variable. So in Python, you know, the instruction is basically, I want some variable to be stored as a raw string, this R, and then you put quotes and you paste the path. Now, if I run this variable, I will tell Python that I want to go to this folder at some point. Of course, I will need to make extra instructions, but right. Now, let's make a path number 2, and we want to do the second folder I created. Okay, so go back. Here we are, we go here, we enter the second folder. Let's say this super path, and you go here, you copy, right? And then you go back to Python. And here you put your path, right? As you can see, we use the quotes in our folder name, and the Windows let us doing so. But look at here. You see the colors are changing. This is green and this is white. That's exactly, you know, the spider nice enough to tell me that he's reading this as a string, but this one as a variable. Because actually the quotes we use in the folder name here are somehow interpreted as end of the story, not, you know, quote. And this, of course, if I try to run, right, this line, I get a mistake, right, invalid syntax. Now, in this super simple example, I can fix this problem, right? There is no immense issue. We can solve it. I go here and I just add this and this, right? And then I rerun it and now it's working. Sure. But try to think a moment. This is making the code more complex to write, more complex to maintain. As usual, you want to pay as little as possible. If you make my coding work more complex, I take more time, you pay more. Are you happy? But this is not the main issue. The main issue is that when you have a big, as I said before, software company, this kind of bugs will appear tomorrow, will not appear today. You start coding, you make the system working, tomorrow some new software is coming, you say, oh, let's install it, and the special character that you used will crash, right? And maybe the production or whatever at some point when you don't expect, pum, right? This is a big loss of money, because then you have to stop production, go to the clients and say, sorry, I'm late, and then go to the developer and say, oh, you have to find the bug, blah, 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 right? So, if you want to save money, avoid it. How to do it? Well, there is very famous stuff around that's called camel notation. Camel notation is something that, you know, people of my age might be more familiar when you were writing SMS and you wanted to save space, right? Because they were expensive. So let me show you. So we go here and you're used to say, I don't know, my call and interesting sentence, right? This is the way you as human will write this. Camel notation, you basically don't use never ever spaces, you just capitalize the first character of each word. Right. The line 8 that I'm showing here, basically, you don't use a space, you capitalize the first letter of each word. The first time you read this, maybe you are out of your comfort zone because, I mean, it's strange, you're used to spaces to separate words, but this later on will be familiar to you and you will not have much problems. Now, let's go back to the folders. So here we are in the folders, right? Instead of calling in this way, you should just remove this space. And then when you go here, you know, avoid special characters. I don't know, you should say end if you really want, right? Remove this. Then you say, right? If you call the folder in this way, you are gonna save a lot of money. You don't know, but you are gonna save them, right? Now, let me just comment. OneDrive is going out, and they just used the space and the dash there. Windows is not trying ultimately to make the computer super efficient. What they try is to make it user-friendly. And that's absolutely fine as long as you have your small own computer where you do whatever you want. But think, you are running a big company, right? We are in a business environment. So comfort zone is not exactly the first priority. The first priority is to make things work. So, okay, Windows is doing this, try to avoid it. Okay, when you go even where I was before, right? Here they use program, space, open parenthesis, x85 parenthesis. Okay, fine. 86, not 85. They do this for whatever reason. Avoid it. Okay, if you can, never ever do this. Especially in the root folder where everybody has to go. When you are in local folder, fine. Now, if you already have folders with this name, right? I might be tempted to go here and say, oh, Windows did this, but let me change the name of this folder. Of course, this is a system folder, I cannot really change it, right? Fine. But if you change it later on, this is not possible anymore, okay? Let's say you already have folder names written in an ugly way, so let's, as it was here, right? If you change it in this way, now let's go to Spider, where I already implemented for you the bad name. If you are here and now later on somebody makes camel notation to this folder, this code will be broken. So once you create the folder name, it's forever. Okay, fine. If you already did in the past, fine. But if you can, try to avoid do it in the future. Just to conclude, ugly folder names containing special characters will cost you more while developing, but let's say 5%, 10%. But the real cost will come later on because at some point some system will break. Avoid spaces, underscore, special characters in folder names. Also numbers. Okay? Only standard characters, please.